Take me to the king. Hi, Bean. You okay, Mr. Bean? Soaking up the sun, are ya? Yeah. Happy boy. Happy beanie boy. Hi, Mrs. Luigi. Hi. Hi. Hi, Mama. You okay, little girl? Hi, everybody. I got the animals down by my feet right now. They're soaking up the sun. They're soaking up the sun. I'll give you a quick glance. There's Bean and Luigi. They're soaking up that sun. Oh, so, hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome, early birds. We have the Dow has had the worst April. The Dow is part of the U.S. Stock market. One of the pivotal key components of the Dow has had its worst April since 1932. We're headed into the Great Depression 2. The Great Depression 2. Electric Boogaloo. Don't take my word for it. We got the charts. Wall Street Journal. No, that's liberal media. Liberal media. Liberal media. And then breaking news. I've got some breaking news for you. We're going to cover this too. And when I say breaking, I mean 3:31. It is 3:42. This is 11 minutes old. Because of the Dow plummeting worse than the Great Depression, because people are selling off the dollar, the value of the U.S. dollar is fucking plummeting. Look at the value of the U.S. dollar over the past year. The world is getting ready to swap over to a different currency, probably the Chinese yen, I think it's called. Because of all that, 11 minutes ago, Trump started to consider getting rid of the tariffs that he put on China. And immediately, investors they take a deep breath of fresh air. And the market starts to respond. So what we're seeing right now, and this isn't my opinion, this is just statistics. What you're seeing is that investors, the market, wealthy people, they hate Donald Trump. His policies are horrendous. And what we're realizing is that, I know that we talk a lot of shit about the rich and the billionaires and whatnot, but there really is only between like 10 and 30 people who are benefiting from this stuff. It's not like there are rich people, there are millionaires out there who are not in the 1%. You know what I'm saying? And they hate this shit. Those are the investors, like the small business owners, even the big business owners that aren't in the top 50, right? But the people who are benefiting from this, because it's market manipulation, are like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. And there's really only like 10 to 50 people who are benefiting from this. Beanie, what are you doing? You're clawing at my toesies. What are you doing? Hi, sweet, handsome Mr. Bean. Wow. What a handsome cat. But yeah, no, it's remarkable. So we're going to cover this real quick, and then we've got some other stuff to cover. Let me pause this. We're going to cover the 4-year-old girl here in New York who had to represent herself in a deportation hearing because one of Trump's policies got rid of funding that provides unaccompanied minors with representation in court. So we're going to cover how the Trump regime is now deporting infants. The Trump regime is now deporting infants. The Trump regime is now deporting infants. So yeah, we're going to cover that. A couple other things I want to cover. We'll probably get to it. We'll get to all that, but we're going to go one piece at a time. We live in the timeline where Biff got the almanac. Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. We've got more breaking news here. Trump slams Zelensky for refusing to recognize Russian control of Crimea. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio attends a meeting eradicating anti-Christian bias task force at the Justice Department. Dude, I have to get, do I have to get fucking Truth Social just so I could hear what Trump says? Do I deadass have to do this? No. You need... Okay, no, you need an account to post on Truth Social. You don't need an account to look around on Truth Social. So let's see what he said. Jesus Christ. This is going to be so long. All right. I ought to just start recording. We got a lot to cover. Let's do CNN first. Let's do Trump and Crimea. Okay. When did Russia invade Crimea? Was it 2014? Yeah, 2014. Why did they invade Crimea? Because they thought that Crimea was always a part of Russian territory. But you have to understand that what Putin does is he slowly encroaches on land over decades because he knows he'll always be the leader of Russia until the day he dies. It's not like there are term limits, right? So he started encroaching on Ukraine in like 2008, moved a little bit further in 2014, moved a little bit further in 2020. This is what happens. About 5,000 people were killed during this. Oh, yeah, real quick. I might as well do the usual thing, guys. Hi, how are you? I hope you're all doing great. Let me just tell you about my day real quick. I had a good morning. I woke up at my girlfriend's house. I had a cup of coffee and a banana, and then I went to the gym, and then I worked back and half an hour of cardio. I burnt 45 minutes of cardio. I burnt like 550 calories. I still got to burn another 500. Had my cardio, did my workout, bought another banana at the deli because I didn't have any more bananas, and came back and fed the babies, and now I'm gonna make some content. And then other than that, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It really does help me out a lot, and it costs you fuck all. Even if you don't want to watch my videos, just fucking do that. Just like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, okay? And I don't do this often. I don't do this enough, but thank you guys for all the followers here on YouTube. I'm not grateful enough for you guys. I really thank you. I'm very, very grateful to all my members. Shout out to my fucking members. And super grateful to all of my patrons on Patreon. Listen, this is actually what independent media looks like. I know that it's hard to tell nowadays because everybody's got a phone and everybody's got, verified check marks and who's what and legacy media and social media. It's confusing, okay? This is what real independent media looks like. A dude with a Logitech camera with a cat on the floor next to him and a dog next to him on the other side. And if you want to help me out financially, please do. You could become a member for $5. You could become a patron for $5 and support the channel monthly. You can buy some Valenti Videos merch down below. And you could use the 40% off discount for Ground News. Okay? Okay? All right. And that's the thing, man. We got people like Tim Pool in the fucking White House. Like we gotta keep independent media alive. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine till it's spelled fucking backwards. So, Russia's main justification for invading Crimea in 2014 was saying that they were acting to protect the rights of ethnic Russians in the area, saying that like Russian-speaking residents of Crimea were under threat from the new government. And Russia was playing the whole like bullshit. Like, you know how America is the way that America is talking about Greenland is the way that Russia was talking about Crimea. America's like, the Greenlanders want to be American, you know, like, fuck, dude, they don't even speak Norwegian, they speak English. And Russia, Putin was essentially like, hey, the Crimeans, they want to be Russian, they speak Russian, and you know, we should give them the right to choose whoever they want. And that's why we're going to go in there with the fucking military and take the land. You know, it's a bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Nelson Snow just gifted a membership. Congratulations to Alex Carlino, who just became a member. Or sorry, Alan Carlino, who just became a member. Alan, feel free. You just got access to a whole bunch of emojis, and you get access to the videos early now. Congratulations, and thank you again, Nelson. Thank you, Nelson. W. Nelsons. W. Nelsons. Hi, Bean. Hi. What are you doing? Are you just soaking up sunlight? You're being a big, handsome, bobansome. Oh, wow, Mr. Bean. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, let's cover this. Let's cover this. You guys ready to record a video? I mean, fuck, dude, I'm really hungry. Should I eat this banana first? I think I'm going to eat this banana before I start recording. You excited for more arguments with chat today? Yeah, because the tide is turning to our favor, boys. Do you not smell hope in the air? Now that Trump has openly admitted with his own fucking mouth that he wants to deport U.S. citizens, like, dude, the tide is turning. MAGA's jumping ship. Do you know how many fucking Americans are like, what do you mean, bro? Because he's like, we're talking about criminals. Fucking MAGA is riddled with criminals. Do you know how many fucking people have criminal records in this country? All of these people are like, that I'm a U.S. citizen. You know what I mean? And on top of that, it's really hard to defend a 4-year-old girl having to represent herself in an immigration court. Yeah. We're going to cover this. 4-year-old migrant girl and other kids going to court in New York City with no lawyer. This girl right here had no lawyer. She was unaccompanied. She had no parent with her. And she had to represent herself in front of an immigration judge. We go, now know what happened to the Insurrection Act? We don't know. They won't tell us. We have no idea. They won't tell us what was in the report. This is fucking abhorrent. This is abhorrent. Yeah, this is the exact... Yeah, you know what? I don't understand why this fucking little shit doesn't pull herself up by her bootstraps. Go work in the fucking mines and get the money for a goddamn attorney. You know? I mean, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. You know what I'm saying? Levantanse con su zapatos strapos. Like... What's up, Alley Cat? Look at this. Look at this. Should I cover everything in one video? I don't even know if I fucking can. Get your money up, shitter. If I cover it all in one video, I don't even know how the fuck I would title it. I know I could do it, but I don't know how I would title it. Liberals' support of Palestine makes me prefer MAGA over liberals. Mario, what do you think of this? What do you think? You see this little girl? This 4-year-old girl in New York City had to represent herself in an immigration court with no fucking lawyer and her parents weren't present because of a Trump administration decision. What do you think of that? Mario. 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 That's what I'm saying, Jack. The topics have nothing to do with each other, so there'd be no way to get everything into the title. Mario. What do we think of that, Mario? What do we think of this? And frankly, that little shit should pull herself up by her bootstraps and buy her own lawyer. Got a text from my phone today. They know my name and it scared me. That's scary. Mario got shut down real quick. I don't know why, Mario. Where'd he go? I hate clicking on your streams because I don't like to eat dirt. You fucking pussy. Take a bite. Take a bite. It's dirt. It ain't gonna hurt.
I, for example, am joining a group to put together Narcan packages for my city, but they also had options to plant gardens and other such things for the community, even local libraries and stuff.
Yeah, guys, you always got to start local. You got to start with your little local communities. You know, the fucking homeless people around here love me. I be handing them 20s. Swear to God. Swear to God. Take a look at a Kashmir attack carried out by fellow Islamists. Nah, brother. I'm looking at this. What do you think of this? What do you think of the Trump regime's recent decision to revoke the funding for representation for unaccompanied minors? And it led to this 4-year-old girl right here having to go in front of an immigration judge with no representation. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? Are you gonna sit there and ignore it? I know it makes you look bad, but holy fucking shit. It's a 4-year-old little girl. Don't you have any help? What happened to your soul? You're filled with so much hate. It's a 4-year-old fucking girl. You don't need to live with hate. Just give her a fucking lawyer, and then we can keep going.
I can't get illegally deported. My search history is crazy.
Voice of a generation? You got no idea. Oh, Beans? What are you doing? You guys want to see Beans real quick? He's looking real fucking goofy at the moment. Hold on. Bean? What are you doing? Goofy ass cat, bro. What is he doing, bro? You see the way he was sitting? What the fuck? What you doing? You're everything I need and more. Surrounded by your brain. Baby, I can see your halo. You know you are saving grace. Yeah, no, Bean's dead ass acts like he pays the fucking bills, bro. It's unreal. It's unreal. It's unreal. It's unreal. All right, so we have so much to cover. I have an idea. So we're covering the Dow is fucked. We're covering Trump slamming Zelensky about Crimea. We're covering 4-year-old fucking girl being sent for deportation. What's the other insane breaking news? I really liked back when you were doing the history videos. Love what you're doing now. Well, if you like the history videos, I have some exciting news for you. Tomorrow, I'm filming a brand new series. Get a look at this. You see this on the ground back there? Do you see what that is? That's a giant fucking Elgato green screen. Okay? And what I'm going to be starting to do is weekly. So we have Rabbit Hole on Saturdays, and I take a day off on Sundays. But what I'm going to do is film beforehand. And on Sundays now, we're going to launch this new history series called Valentified History. Okay? And there will be no modern politics in these videos. If you can draw on the history and compare it to modern politics, that's the point. Okay? Our first video is going to be a deep dive in history about the Dolchstoß myth, which is the backstab myth. And the whole point of the video is going to be called How Nations Fall for Fascism. Now, it's going to be entirely historical and going to be covering Germany's fall for fascism and Italy's fall for fascism. And, that's really what it's going to be about. But people will watch it and people will say, like, God damn, I hate when you're like political, man, like whatever, because they will see direct comparisons to America. They will feel them. They'll go, oh, Jesus Christ. So there won't be anything about modern politics, but it will still be there. You know. Okay. Whoa. What? What? NIH autism study will pull from private med. Isn't that illegal? Wait, isn't that illegal? Are they about to just make a list of all the autistic people? Yo, that's fucking wild. Are they about to just make a list of all the autistic people? Oh my God. This is fucked, bro. But what is the point? What do they want the names for? I know Action T4, Jonathan. I know Action T4. We're not at that point yet. We're not at that point yet. What the fuck could you possibly want them for? Other than that, though. What could you... I swear to God, this is giving me sterilization vibes because RFK understands RFK is a fucking sick freak. And I genuinely believe that he knows that the only way to actually eliminate autism is through eugenics, right? That's exactly what the Nazis believed. And it's why you have to understand, as a society, you cannot eradicate autism. That's not something you can do. None of these people have seen Love on the Spectrum. Nah, these motherfuckers watch Love on the Spectrum in like boot camp on like how to spot them. You know, like they're like taking notes. They're like, okay. Like, unbelievable. Fuck happened in Kashmir? Oh, this is never good, bro. India and Pakistan are always about to fucking nuke each other over fucking Kashmir. Over fucking Kashmir. 26 people were killed by gunmen in an attack in Indian-administered Kashmir. Killing of tourists. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, we're going to cover this too. Never fucking ends, bro. It never fucking ends. It never fucking ends. Let's see. The new Reuters and Ipsos poll shows that, what is it? Give me the numbers. What share of Americans approve of the president's handling of the economy? Only 37%. Only 37%. All right. Is there any other wild breaking news? Filipino Pope. I'll toss that in there. What's his fucking name? Luis Antonio Gocum Tagle. Yeah, right. All right, let me organize this. So we're gonna start with Trump. Then we'll move into the market. Then we're going to move into the 4-year-old girl. Autism, India. You're going in there. And India and then the Pope. All right. We've got a lot to cover in this video. And we're going to make multiple videos. I'm going to stop and go. But we're going to do an intro with everything. All right? You guys ready? You guys ready? Hi, Chris. I like your face. Hi, is this Spades? Thank you. All right. What is up, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs? Welcome to the latest episode of the Valenti VOD. I am your perfect and humble leader, Chris Valenti. I have a fuckload to cover today. Oh, fuck, you can't fucking curse in the first fucking 15 fucking seconds of a fucking YouTube video and still get ads. Shit. What is up, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs? I'm your perfect and humble leader, Chris Valenti, and we have an absolute ton of stuff to cover today. We're going to cover a lot. We're going to cover Trump slamming Zelensky for not recognizing Crimea as Russian territory. Granted, Russia fucking illegally annexed and invaded Crimea. We're going to talk about the Dow. The Dow just had the worst April since 1932. The U.S. economy is literally headed into a worse position than it was during the Great Depression. Great Depression 2, Electric Boogaloo just hit. We're going to cover that. They hit the second tower. The value of the U.S. dollar is plummeting, and it may get replaced by something, who knows, maybe even like the Chinese fucking yen. We're going to cover a 4-year-old girl in New York City who had to face an immigration judge without representation and without her parents. I know that sounds dystopian, but it's real. There's a 4-year-old girl. This is all because Trump cut like $200 million to a program that provides representation for unaccompanied minors. And so now the Trump regime is deporting infants. We've reached that. We're going to talk about RFK's new plan to make a list of all the autistic people in the United States by illegally accessing your private medical records. That's real. We've also got India and Pakistan are in a bit of a feud over Kashmir. What else is new? And then we're going to cover the potential new Filipino Pope. We're going to cover all that. But those are going to be in all different videos, very short, different videos, trying out something new. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that fucking notification bell so you can be here when each one of those videos drop. Also, I film these videos live. Hit the notification bell and you can be part of the chat. This is real independent media, okay? If you want to help, because this is what real independent media looks like. It looks like a fucking douchebag covered in sweat, straight out of the gym with a Logitech camera, a dog next to him, and a cat in the shit box scraping. Okay? If you want to help me financially, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can become a member here on YouTube for $5. Huge shout out to my members. You could become a patron on Patreon for $5. Huge shout out to my patrons. You could buy some of this dope-ass Valenti Videos merch, and you could use that 40% off discount on Ground News. But without further ado, we're going to dive right into the first segment here, which is going to be for this YouTube video, which is about Donald Trump slamming Volodymyr Zelensky on fucking Truth Social for doing the thing that any leader would do, which is not recognize their own territory as the foreign invader's territory. Now, I know. Listen, long story short, Russia invaded Crimea and annexed it in 2014 when Barack Obama was the president. Some of you may be too young to know this, but the whole explanation from Russia, it's bullshit, is that there's a population of Russian-speaking people in Crimea and they're being discriminated against. And those people want to be Russian, and we need to give them the right to self-determination and choose what they want to be. So we're going to fucking invade. That's what their excuse was. It's very reminiscent of what Trump wants to do with Greenland, where they're like, oh, the Greenlanders want to be American. Fuck, they speak English. I mean, why don't we give them the right to choose their own future by fucking invading them? Trump and Putin, same fucking person, different sides of the coin. One of them's Russian, one of them's a ruble, and the other one's a penny. But anyway, we're gonna dive right in here. Let's read his Truth Social post. Now, as you know, I'm an actor, so let's get into this. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is boasting on the front page of the Wall Street Journal that Ukraine will not legally recognize the occupation of Crimea. There's nothing to talk about here, end quote. This statement is very harmful to the peace negotiations with Russia in that Crimea was lost years ago under the auspices of President Barack Hussein Obama and is not even a point of discussion. Nobody is asking Zelensky to recognize Crimea as Russian territory, but if he wants Crimea, and also this is a lie, nobody's asking Crimea. There were like 7 points laid out by the Russians, but they said that you need to do this in order for us to accept a peace deal, and one of them was that Ukraine recognizes Crimea as Russian territory, so he's wrong. Putin is asking this.
Nobody is asking Zelensky to recognize Crimea as Russian territory, but if he wants Crimea, why didn't they fight for it 11 years ago when it was handed over to Russia without a shot being fired? This is also a lie, without a shot being fired. Around between 3,000 and 5,000 people died during the annexation of Crimea because, yes, the Ukrainians tried to defend their fucking land. So, yeah, I don't know why he's lying about that. It makes no sense to lie about something that is so easily fucking disproven. Like, you could just do it yourself. Go onto Google and be like, how many people died during the annexation of Crimea? It'll say between 3,000 and 5,000. The area also houses for many years the, quote, Obama handover. Major Russian submarine bases. It's inflammatory statements like Zelensky's that makes it so difficult to settle this war. But Donnie, you said you would have this war settled on day one. Within 24 hours. That's what you said.
Oh, isn't it difficult to end a war when an authoritarian dictator like Vladimir Putin decides that he wants a fucking independent sovereign nation like Ukraine? Oh.
Fuck you. You're an idiot. No shit, it's fucking hard to settle this war. War is hell. You can't just fucking win the presidency an ocean away and go, well, now that I'm president, they'll stop fighting. The kids will stop bickering. Brother, you're a fat orange loser. Putin doesn't fear you. Putin thinks you're a fucking idiot, which you are. Brother, you understand that the shit that he's doing, the shit that Trump is doing would be more easily explainable if he was a Russian spy. He's not a Russian spy, but if he was, I'd be like, oh, okay, that tracks. He's not. He's doing this shit, and he's not even a Russian. He's a fucking moron. Anyway. Whew.
It makes it so difficult to settle this war. He has nothing to boast about. The situation for Ukraine is dire. He can have peace with a capital P, or he can fight for another 3 years before losing the whole country with a capital C. I have nothing to do with Russia, but have very much to do with wanting to save, on average, 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers a week who are dying for no reason whatsoever.
What I do find funny about this is that he is right. Around 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers combined, like 5,000 total, are dying per week. And yet, he continues to say that there are millions of bodies, that the millions of people have died. Even his own math doesn't track. But he can't do math. He's a dumbass. Just like the rest of this fucking administration.
Just like 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers a week who are dying for no reason whatsoever. The statement made by Zelensky today will do nothing but prolong the killing field. And nobody wants that. We are very close to a deal with a capital D. But the man with no cards to play should now finally get it done! I look forward to being able to help Ukraine and Russia to get out of this complete with a capital C and total with a capital D mess that would have never started if I were president.
This is just the ramblings of a fucking madman. Can you believe that there are tens of millions of people in this nation who read that shit and go, God damn, our president is so brave. Our perfect and humble leader, our honorable president, Donald John Trump. He's so right. He's so right. Motherfucker, what are you talking about? No shit, Zelensky's not going to recognize Crimea, a former Ukrainian territory that was illegally annexed and invaded by the Russian military. No shit, he's not recognizing that as Russian territory. That's the final nail in the fucking coffin. I would expect you, Donnie, to do the same thing if the fucking Canadians invaded, what's the fucking most northern, Michigan. If the fucking Canadians invaded Michigan, right? And this happened in 2014, right? And this whole time it's been Canadian. And Trump was like, listen, that's Canada now. We've only got 49 states. Everyone and their mother would call him a baby back bitch. They'd be like, take it back. That was ours. Take it back. But, Jesus Christ. Jesus, ever-loving fuck. So, we're going to cover CNN's article on this, because it digs into a little bit of Marco Rubio. Trump slams Zelensky for refusing to recognize Russian control of Crimea, and you know that because you just read his post on Truth Social. President Donald Trump slammed Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday for his comments that Ukraine won't recognize Russian control of Crimea, calling the remarks, quote, very harmful to the peace negotiations with Russia. Mind you, Russia violated the peace deal like 27 times already, and then they violated it again on Easter that like bombed the ever-loving fuck out of Ukraine. Like, brother, there is no peace deal, and that's exactly what Zelensky was telling you in the Oval Office when you and fucking JD bombarded him with this fucking staged, orchestrated, pre-written attack on him. You didn't even say thank you, which was all designed to pull attention away from the fake Epstein report you released like 2 days ago. You guys probably don't even remember this, dude. Like right before Trump met with Zelensky with JD and they like bullied him in the Oval Office. That was when the Trump regime released like a fake Epstein list that was just the flight logs that we all saw from months ago. And obviously Trump's name wasn't on it and it wasn't the real fucking list. And that was getting a lot of traction. Even right-wing content creators were like, what the fuck, bro? We already had this list. What are we doing? So that's what that was about. But anyway, let's keep on reading. Its inflammatory statements, we already saw that. His comments came a few hours after a meeting in London aimed at bringing about an end to Russia's war in Ukraine had been downgraded after U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said he wouldn't attend. Rubio had been I bet he's on like fucking vacation. Rubio had been expected to take part in the discussions with Ukrainian, UK, and European officials, but State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce said Tuesday that he would no longer attend due to, quote, logistical issues. He's on vacation. The guy's probably like in fucking Cancun, like when Ted Cruz ran when the power went out. Though a U.S. official and 2 European diplomats familiar with the matter said the top U.S. diplomat didn't go because the administration did not feel that they were at a decisive point in the ongoing talks, and Rubio didn't feel like attending would be the best use of his time. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Marco Rubio's a war hawk. He's a career politician. He knows this shit. Marco Rubio understands that Russia doesn't give a fuck what the U.S. has to say. They don't give a fuck. Trump keeps on saying, like, Ukraine, you don't have the cards. No. Baby back bitch, you don't have the cards. Donald, you fucking sold Ukraine gave, not you. The United States gave Ukraine hundreds of millions of dollars of weapons to defend against the Russian onslaught. It wasn't enough. All of that money that we sent over there was for nothing. And now that the Russians have the advantage and are taking more and more land, you expect Putin to stop? Why the fuck should he? Why the fuck would he? Right? This is why I support giving Ukraine more fucking weapons to not allow the Russians to keep advancing, to prevent more NATO border countries who are bordering the NATO alliance, to fall into Russian hands, making things easier and easier for Russia to potentially win a World War III style conflict. Call me a NATO Andy. I don't give a fuck. I don't want the United States to withdraw from NATO. Not because I love NATO, but because if NATO's gonna exist, I want to be in it. Is that unpatriotic? I don't know. I don't know. Quote, it was better to let talks play out than create the illusion that a breakthrough was imminent, said one of the European diplomats. Britain's foreign office confirmed on Wednesday that the meeting would take place at a lower level. Official level talks will continue, but these are close to the meeting, so it's all just bullshit. The developments throw new uncertainty over the diplomatic efforts to end Russia's war. The United States has become increasingly steadfast in its push to force Kyiv to an agreement, but Ukraine is adamant that it will not give up Crimea, which has been occupied by Russia since 2014, or parts of eastern Ukraine that were captured following Moscow's full assault. Yeah, so I said it earlier. There's like 7 stipulations that the Russians gave, and one of them is like all of this. It's like it's like Crimea and the Zaporizhia regions and Luhansk and Donetsk. They're like, the Russians are like, hey, we'll only stop murking your shit if you give us these regions that are very naturally. They have a lot of natural gas, coincidentally. Hey, Mr. Bean, what are you doing? Mr. Bean, what are you doing? You want a hug? Oh, he just wants to be pet. But yeah, so that's what we got. I mean, Trump, guys, we shouldn't be surprised. Trump fucking blames Zelensky for the fucking invasion. Trump says that it's Zelensky's fault. Trump is a warmongering piece of shit. He wants us to go to war in Greenland. He wants us to go to war in Mexico. He wants us to go to war in Panama. He wants to annex Canada. He wants to conquer Gaza, bro. And now there's fucking rumors that we're going back to Afghanistan to clean up Bagram Air Base because our withdrawal wasn't clean. Motherfucker, we were there for 22 years. I don't give a shit what the withdrawal was like. Why the fuck would we go back? Why? Born too late, born too early to go to the sandbox, born too late to go to the sandbox. Born right on time to go to the fucking sandbox, boys. Better start doing your cardio training. Anyway, I'm going to catch you in the next video. We're moving on to the next topic, which is going to be in the next video, which is all about the stock market having its worst month. This April has been the worst April since 1932. We are headed into the Great Depression 2, Electric Boogaloo. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Hit that video right there. Hopefully, if I do everything right, it'll be the next video, all right? Catch ya. There we go. You guys who are live, you fucking stay. We're not ending the live stream. We're moving on to the next fucking topic. We're going to keep the adrenaline rolling. We're going to keep it going. 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 Welcome back! Hi, how you doing? I'm your perfect and humble leader, Chris Valenti, and you were just here a couple of seconds ago. You were watching me cover Trump slamming Zelensky for not accepting Crimea as Russian territory. I mean, I would do the same fucking thing. And now we're going to cover how the stock market, the Dow specifically, is headed for the worst April since 1932, as investors send no confidence. Now, if this is ringing a bell, that's because the Great Depression hit in 1939. And we're talking about the stock market hitting worse levels than the Great Depression, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck a recession. We're moving into the Great Depression 2, Electric Boogaloo. Now, before we move on, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It costs you nothing. It helps me immensely. And we've got a lot to cover in today's videos. We're covering a whole bunch of different shit. Fucking kids being deported, 4-year-old girls, fucking a list of everybody who's autistic. That means you, Ryan. We're just a whole bunch of shit is going on. A new pope, Filipino. Who knew? Well, he hasn't been elected yet, or elected, appointed, whatever. Fuck you. God chooses. But let's dive right in and talk about this new Wall Street Journal coverage. And also, guys, before we do dive into this, there is also some breaking news. As of what time? As of 4:05 p.m. So what happened was this dropped first, which was we were moving into the Dow is headed for the worst April since 1932. The stock market is fucking plunging, as we all know. Donald Trump's tariff plans are just fucking insane. Even the rich don't like this. The only people who do like this are like the filthy, filthy rich. But dude, even Elon Musk came out and said himself that he doesn't support the high tariffs. He supports low tariffs. Like, Trump is a fucking idiot, okay? There's a handful of people who are benefiting off of this because they're doing market manipulation, insider trading, they're buying the stock when it's low, but other than that, it's just destroying the U.S. economy. So, because Trump is realizing that his approval rating is fucking plummeting, only 37% of Americans approve of his economy, and only 40% of Americans approve of him being the fucking president, Trump decides that he may slash the China levies. He may get rid of the tariffs on China. And what happened is, like, investors took like a fucking breath of fresh air, essentially. And you see, this is as of earlier today, like an hour ago, or not even an hour ago, 4:05 p.m. It's fucking 4:29. This is like 20 minutes ago, bro. So as soon as Trump says, hey, I'm thinking about maybe getting rid of the tariffs, all the investors fucking boom. Now, here's the thing. I understand some of you guys are investors, but you're not the people who control the stock market, okay? We're talking about business owners, small business owners, big business owners, giant business owners, but ones who aren't in the top 10, you know, like Apple or Meta, Apple, Google, and Amazon, MAGA. Those are the big four, and there's a whole bunch of different ones, but small business owners who import their goods from China, I mean, fucking mechanics who get their tires from China, like everybody in the country is suffering, and now the price increases are starting to hit the stock shelves in grocery stores, and every American is realizing, even if they voted for Trump, that the economy is still gonna fuck you right up your tight little pussy. But yeah, you're seeing the chart right here. As soon as Trump says he's gonna he's gonna get rid of the tariffs, the economy moves up. So let's start reading this. The Dow headed for the worst April since 1932 as investors send no confidence signal. Few think administration's negotiations with trade partners will yield results soon enough to ease the strain. And they won't. They won't. Let's just watch a little bit of this.
The President of the United States typically keeps the Federal Reserve at arm's length, with one recent exception.
We have a Federal Reserve Chairman that is playing politics, somebody that I've never been very fond of, actually.
There's nothing written down that says the Fed should be independent. It's not in the law, it's not in any statute. The Fed is given this quote-unquote independence because they have to make some unpopular decisions sometimes.
President Trump is now calling on the Fed to cut interest rates immediately in the aftermath of his new tariff policies. Policies that Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has said put the central bank in a challenging scenario.
Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation. The inflationary effects could also be more persistent.
Here's how.
What we're seeing right now, just so you guys can understand what's going on, is companies who aren't even affected by the tariffs, or not heavily affected by the tariffs, like maybe they make their goods domestically, they are increasing their prices too. And I told you this would happen. And I gave a very basic example months ago. There's an American avocado for $5, and there's a Mexican avocado for $5. You put a tariff on the Mexican avocado, now it's 10. So you would think, hey, Americans are going to buy the American avocado, boost American market. And you're right, they are. But do you know what else is going to happen now that there's a $5 window between these two prices? The American avocado company is going to go, hey guys, because they're all greedy pieces of shit. They're going to go, hey guys, we can increase the price of our American avocado from 5 to 6. And then the month after that from 6 to 7. And then the month after that from 7 to 8. And then 8 to 9. And if we keep our price at $9, these dumb motherfuckers will still buy it because it's cheaper than the tariffed one. And if you think those prices are ever going back down, you're a fucking moron. I'll tell it to you because I love you. You're a fucking moron. Okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So let's read. Oh, no, you got to sign up to read. I'm not doing that. Let's watch.
How much influence a Trump White House could exert over the central bank and its ability to steer the world's largest economy.
Fed history is actually quite interesting.
That's Richard Clarida, who Trump appointed in 2018 to serve as vice chair of the central bank.
The Fed is a creation of Congress, and it's been given a specific statutory mandate to achieve price stability and sustain maximum employment.
Clarida was in the room when the Fed made many of the rate decisions that Trump criticized during his first administration.
I just did not observe, and really if you look at historical transcripts, you really don't see evidence of Fed discussions being political.
That independence is key when it comes to setting the federal funds rate, which is the rate that banks pay for overnight borrowing. When rates go down, it becomes cheaper for households to borrow and spend, and for businesses to invest in hiring and equipment.
There's always an incentive by lawmakers, by presidents, to goose growth now. There's an election to win. Let's try to get the economy to be as hot as it can.
Well, Trump is fucking failing to do that. I can tell you that much.
If you let inflation get out of control, you need somebody who'll come in and remove the punch from the party when the party's getting started.
Sources told the Wall Street Journal that Trump has privately discussed firing Powell for months, although some of his advisors have warned against the move. Any effort to oust Powell will likely end up at the Supreme Court.
If I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
Yeah, he's right. He's fucking right. The people in the Wall Street Journal, I mean, hopefully now they're starting to understand. If Trump wants him out, he'll be out. Trump has already disobeyed 2 Supreme Court orders. The Supreme Court it's moot. Elon Musk has been ordered by the Supreme Court to delete the fucking private servers that they stole the information from the Department of Treasury. They didn't do it. There's no enforcement body. There's no, what are you going to do? Call the cops? When Trump says, fuck you, I'm not doing it. There's nobody to stop the man, and he knows it. We talked about this in a previous video. As soon as Trump disobeyed the 9-0 Supreme Court order, a unanimous Supreme Court order to bring back Kilmar Abrego Garcia, 9-0, even the ones he appointed, like Brett Kavanaugh, they all said, you got to bring him home. As soon as Trump violated that, I said, he is officially a dictator. That's not a president. If the Supreme Court cannot challenge the president of the United States, then that's not a president. There's no checks and balances. There's no separation of powers. That's not a president. That's a dictator. That's what we have reached. And the dictator has brought the U.S. economy to levels worse than the fucking Great Depression. And yet, his cultists will cheer.
It's not the first time the prospect of firing Powell has been discussed. During Trump's campaign, some of his allies quietly drafted proposals to revamp the Fed and the White House's ability to influence its decision-making. People familiar with the matter told the Wall Street Journal.
Some of his advisors, particularly those from Wall Street, have told him it's a bad idea to try to interfere with the Fed. But there are other advisors around Trump who have said, look, the Fed shouldn't be some independent island. They should answer to the executive branch.
At the time, Trump campaign officials distanced themselves from the plan, saying it didn't come directly from Trump or the campaign.
Bullshit.
The president's power to influence the Fed really runs through the appointment process.
The Fed is made up of 3 components. The 12 Federal Reserve banks across the U.S., each with their own bank presidents. Then there's the 7-member Board of Governors in Washington, D.C., with each member appointed by the president. And then there's the Federal Open Market Committee, a 12-member voting committee made up of the governors and a rotating cast of Fed presidents.
The membership of the committee, which by statute has to affirmatively vote on monetary policy, is set by statute. It does not include the president. It does not include the Treasury secretary. The law requires decisions be made by that constituted committee.
Enough of this. I think you guys get the gist, is that the Fed is supposed to have its own independent power that is separated from all the branches of the government. And the reason why that is so important is because the value of the U.S. dollar, dude, the U.S. dollar is the world's currency. We need to have some sort of institution that can put up a barrier between a madman in the Oval Office and destroying global markets, okay? We're not even talking about the fucking U.S. economy. We're talking about the global markets, okay? And we've got this Ipsos poll, this Reuters poll that shows that only 37% of Americans, 37% of Americans approve of the president's handling of the economy, okay? Versus in 2024, Biden at 34. So Trump is heading to Biden levels. You know, this is like Biden's fucking brain was leaking out of his ears, okay? And Trump is heading to Biden levels, okay? And at the same time, his approval rating just for being the president has plummeted down to something like 40%. But I want to show you this. Since mid-January, the dollar has fallen 9% against a back set of currencies. Dude, like, at first, I used to say that I didn't give a fuck about these BRICS nations, you know, like this new BRICS currency that's forming, or the Chinese yen, the US dollar will always be the king. I don't think so. These other nations are preparing to abandon the US dollar and just, I mean, dude, our allies are abandoning us. NATO is drafting a proposal to phase us out of NATO. We are being abandoned. 75% of medical researchers in the United States say that they plan on leaving. The fucking fascism experts are leaving the United States and then giving dire warnings on CNN saying that if you can leave, it is time to leave. This is so absolutely fucked. Get a look at the value of the US dollar over the past year. Right now, it's at 0.88 euro. That's the value of the US dollar. But look at how it was on a relatively steady climb starting in September 2024. Things were getting better, as you could see. And then pretty much as soon as Trump took office, we started to see it go down, and then come, March, the value plummets. But on April 2nd, Liberation Day, we're valued at 0.92 euros. Bang, it plummets all the way down. We are so fucking cooked right now that I can't properly verbalize to you how fucked we are. The United States is no longer going to be a superpower if we continue down this track. We literally just will not be a superpower if we continue to. The value of the US dollar is just the one thing that keeps us as the world's most powerful nation. If the US dollar is no longer the world's currency, we're fucked. It's over. It's over. Anyway, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're not here live, Make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and do all that shit. We're going to move on to the next topic, which is the Trump regime is deporting infants now without attorneys present. A 4-year-old migrant girl in New York City just faced an immigration judge for a deportation order. Her parents weren't there. She had no attorney, and this is all because the Trump regime got rid of a $200 million program that provides the unaccompanied minors of migrant children with representation in court. So yeah, now the Trump regime is deporting infants. We're going to cover that in the next video, and maybe it'll pop up on your screen if I did the right thing, so make sure you check that out. If you're here live, you stay. We're going to move right on to the next topic. Oh, Jesus Christ. Really? Who? This girl. Right here. Bean! Hi, Bean. Hi, Mr. Bean. Hi. Come here. You want a hug? Do you want a hug? That's heinous? Oh, well, MAGA will support this. They always do. MAGA supports everything Donald Trump does. They're in a cult. Is there any MAGA in here? Is there any MAGA in here? Bean? What? Is there a fly in here? Is there a fly? A fruit fly? How could MAGA spin it? They already are. If you want to see how they do it, it's on my TikTok. I try to cover this on my TikTok, and there's a whole bunch of weird MAGA chuds on TikTok. But they just say, I mean, what I got was somebody said an illegal's an illegal no matter what age. That's what they're at. These are Nazis. I hope you understand these are Nazis. You okay? You okay, Mr. Handsome, Pope Handsome? Oh, wow, you just want a belly rub? Is that all you want? You just want a belly rub? Oh, yeah, you just want a belly rub. You just want a belly rub, belly rub. You just want a belly rub, belly rub. Come here. Come here. Oh. Oh, Mr. Beanie Boy. You okay? Ugh. You literally called it fake news, my guy? Are you talking to me? Hi. Hi. Trump loves children. I'll play with you after the videos, okay? I only have a couple more to make. I'll play with you right after. Oh, Jesus, I can't believe I actually have to cover this. I can't believe this is real. Like, I don't want to cover this because this shouldn't be a real fucking story. This shouldn't be a real fucking story, dude. The cruelty is the point. Yeah, you might be right. Jesus Christ. All right. Let's cover this. Trump is signing executive orders right now. Right now? I don't see none of that. Maybe it's on Fox. Ah, it is. You're right. We're waiting for it to begin. Waiting for it to begin. Why do you guys think everyone is a MAGA rat if they disagree with something you say? No, that's not what I think at all, and that's not what anybody in the chat thinks. You can disagree with me all you want. Then there are MAGA rats who are literally cultists, and there's nothing you can say that can turn them against Donald Trump. Like, Sodak, if you've got a disagreement with me on policy, go ahead, throw it forward. You think he's going to sign the Insurrection Act? Invoke the Insurrection Act? I do. But, simple. It's something basic, right? There's a difference here. If you said to me, hey, I am a veteran and I think the military needs more funding, right? And I say I disagree. We can have a civil conversation and get a beer and you can disagree with me and we can still be friends. But if you say something like, we should be deporting U.S. citizens to a slave camp in El Salvador, and your only reasoning is that Donald Trump said it's okay. If you believe something like that, or if you believe in usurping the 22nd Amendment so that Donald Trump can run a third term, you no longer have a disagreement in policy. You don't believe in democracy anymore, which makes you an enemy of the state. That's what that makes you. If you don't believe in democracy, you shouldn't be here. This is a democratic nation. If you don't like it, fuck off. Do you think he'll invoke the Insurrection Act tonight? I don't know when, but he'll probably fucking do it. I assumed he would do it immediately as soon as the report was given to him on April 20th, but clearly he didn't go through with it. Thought you were hard left saying everyone is MAGA if they disagree. No, dude. Oh my, no, you're confused, Sodak. I'm about to open up your eyes, bro. The people who say all MAGA, or not all MAGA, the people who say like all Republicans are evil, right? That's not leftists. Those are liberals. I'm not a liberal. That's liberalism. That's not left. That's further to the middle, right? I'm a leftist. Even if I fucking hated you and thought you were the biggest piece of shit on earth, I still want you to have free healthcare. And it's because my beliefs have nothing to do with who you are. I believe in universal free healthcare for everybody, right? I don't give a fuck who you are. See what I'm saying? Does giving you hearts help? I don't even know what those are. Giving me hearts. I don't even know what that is. Isn't liberal left? What's the difference? Liberal in listen, you have to understand America has all of American politics are leaning to the right. Okay? America in and of itself is a right-leaning nation. liberalism in America would be recognized in the rest of the world as a moderate Republican. Are there any foreigners in the chat? Are there any foreigners in the chat? I'm Canadian. Well, I mean, maybe you can understand this. I'm talking about like a European. A German. Okay, we got a German. American liberalism is very right-leaning, but it uses left-leaning semantics and verbiage to try and get real leftists, such as myself, to fall for their shtick and vote for it. You know, like, for example, Kamala Harris is a liberal, right? But Kamala Harris said she wants to build a wall on the southern border. That's a moderate Republican belief. That's a right-leaning belief. A liberal in Germany would never in a million fucking years advocate for something like that. But yeah, I'm so left-leaning, bro, that I understand that most of the people who voted for Donald Trump were fooled into voting for Donald Trump. Most of them. Some of them are genuinely bad people, but most people who voted for Trump were just fooled. Hi, Bean. Handsome. All right, fuck this. We're not waiting for Trump. I don't wait. I refuse to. All right, let's move on. All right, the Trump regime is deporting toddlers, and they're not giving them attorneys. I know that sounds dystopian. I know that sounds fear-mongery. That's reality. If it instills fear in you, that means you're alive, I think. Good. Welcome to the Valenti VOD. I'm your perfect and humble leader, Chris Valenti, and we have a lot to cover. We've covered a lot earlier. We're live right now. Say hi to the chat. And we're going to cover this 4-year-old migrant girl and a whole bunch of other kids who showed up to an immigration judge in New York City without an attorney because the Trump regime got rid of a program that provides funding for unaccompanied minors who are children of migrants. And they don't have their parents around, and they don't have money, so how the fuck are they supposed to get an attorney? And this program, and the thing is, an undocumented migrant isn't entitled to a federal attorney, right? So this program was designed to give the children of, unaccompanied fucking 4-year-old girls, bro, giving them a fucking attorney when they're facing a deportation order in fucking court, and these goddamn MAGA chuds are cheering, saying, an illegal immigrant's an illegal immigrant, I don't care how old she is, maybe it's her parents' fault for fucking bringing her here. I can confidently say with my whole ass chest, I am a superior person to anybody who sees this little girl with no parents and no lawyer, and she's gonna stand in front of a fucking immigration judge. If you can see that and you can stand by that and pound your chest, I can confidently say I am genetically superior to you. You are literally inferior. I will confidently say that. Anyway, let's read this fucking article and get to the bottom of it. In shelters across New York, migrant children sit in front of computer and TV screens, appearing virtually in real court proceedings. They swivel in chairs, walk in circles, and play with their hair, while immigration judges address them on screens in front of them. Quote, "The reason we're here is because the government of the United States wants you to leave the United States." Judge Ubaid ul-Haq, presiding from a courtroom on Varick Street, told a group of Beans, get away from the camera, told a group of about a dozen children on a recent morning on WebEx. Beans, you gotta move. "It's my job to figure out if you have to leave," ul-Haq continued. "It's also my job to figure out if you should stay." The parties included a 7-year-old boy wearing a shirt emblazoned with a pizza cartoon, who spun a toy windmill while the judges spoke. There was an 8-year-old girl and her 4-year-old sister in a tie-dye shirt who squeezed a pink plushy toy and stuffed it into her sleeve. None of these children were accompanied by parents or attorneys, only shelter workers who helped them log in onto the hearing. This is so fucked up. This is so fucked up. Oh my God. Immigrant advocates and lawyers say an increasing number of migrant children are making immigration court appearances without the assistance of attorneys, which they say will lead to more children getting deported. The Trump administration, on March 21st, terminated part of a $200 million contract that funds attorneys and other legal services for unaccompanied children. Those are children who arrive without parents or legal guardians and typically instead come with aunts, uncles, or older siblings, according to the immigration attorneys. Fuck, dude. This is so fucked up. This is so fucked up. This is so fucked up. Holy shit. This is so fucked up. While the contract termination is being challenged in court, immigrant advocates say the impact is already being felt as lawyer groups pull back on services, leaving some children on their own. Quote, "How is a child supposed to navigate this?" said Beth Krause, supervising attorney of the Immigrant Youth Project at the Legal Aid Society. She noted many adults find themselves confused and disadvantaged in the immigration court proceedings. The now terminated contract paid for attorneys to represent 26,000 children across the court and friend of the court programs for children, which provide attorneys in court to help pro se respondents navigate the court process. The figures were provided by the Acacia Center for Justice, the nonprofit that manages the contract and doles out money to provider insurance providers across the country. 26,000 children across the country are about to face a deportation hearing without their parents and without a fucking attorney because the Trump regime is the most cruel, fascist, Nazi-riddled organization on planet fucking Earth, second only to Netanyahu's genocidal IOF. If you can read the same article that I just read and still support Donald Trump, I wish you the fucking worst. Truly. I wish you the fucking worst. I will never forgive you. Humanity will never forgive you. We will hold your fucking toes to the fire until the day you die, making you fucking understand that you voted for a fascist that wants to deport 26,000 children without an attorney or a fucking parent in the courtroom. Fuck you. I'll catch you in the next video. That is so fucking disgusting. That is so fucking disgusting. I can't fucking believe what I just read. I can't fucking believe that these people cheer. I can't fucking believe that these people cheer for this. Hi, Beans. Yeah, I know the money out of politics movement. I was invited to that Zoom meeting with Ro Khanna, Congressman Ro Khanna. I was in that meeting with him. I helped organize the Get Money Out of Politics movement. Oh. Yeah, Beans wants a snack. Okay. Let's cover the last of this shit all in one. Welcome back to the Valenti VOD. Sorry I crashed out there in that last video for a second. Valid crash out if I've ever had one. But it looks like RFK is putting together a list of everybody who's autistic in this nation by illegally accessing your private health records. Again, I know, it sounds dystopian, sounds fear-mongery. It's also the fucking truth. Before we dive into this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It helps me a lot. This is so fucked, bro. The NIH. Now, here's the thing. I'm not against research. Doing more research into autism is great. But there's volunteer programs for this. People need to volunteer to give their information up, to be part of experiments, to be studied. That is how research is done. You don't access our private fucking medical records and put together a list. Brother, this is what the Nazis did before they had their legal euthanasia program. Euthanasia program, the Acton T4 program, where they started to euthanize all of the autistic children and all of the children with disabilities. I'm not saying that they're doing that, but this is the first step. You make a list. You check it twice. You figure out who's autistic and who's not nice. That was fucked up. The National Institute of Health will begin collecting Americans' private health records as part of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy's controversial plan to discover a cause and a cure for autism. Yeah, the cause of autism, I genuinely believe is red 40. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally fucking kidding. And the cure for autism is being smothered by your girlfriend's muff. Anyway, Jesus Christ, Chris. The NIH, Jesus Christ. NIH Director Jay Bhattacharya told a panel of experts about the plan this week. The NIH plans to gather information from a wide range of private sources, including pharmacy chains, hospitals, and wearable devices with health sensors like smartwatches. Brother, they're gonna know I'm autistic because I wear an Apple Watch? Brother. The idea of the platform is that the existing data resources are often fragmented and difficult to obtain. The NIH itself will often pay multiple times for the same data resource, Bhattacharya told the panel, according to The Guardian. Even data resources that are within the federal government are too difficult to obtain. Sorry, little burp there. The NIH did not return a request for comment. Kennedy has made autism research a central pillar of his role as America's official health advocate. He has made a number of conspiratorial, anti-science claims, including that childhood vaccinations could cause autism, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Earlier this month, he called autism an epidemic and vowed to find an environmental toxin responsible for the disorder by September.
Overall, autism is increasing in prevalence at an alarming rate,
Kennedy told reporters at the time.
We're going to get back to it with an answer to the American people very, very quickly.
He further described autism as a preventable disease. So this is because RFK is a psychopathic fucking moron, an anti-science, doesn't believe in germ theory, anti-vax fucking idiot, and anybody who still supports him is also one of those. And he genuinely believes, despite the fact that it has been disproven by every single scientist on planet Earth, he believes that autism is caused by vaccines. Now, this is because there are tens of millions of people who believe that correlation equals causation. It does not. And we saw this when Jubilee had, 20 brain-dead idiots against an actual doctor. And the brain-dead idiots said themselves that there is nothing that you can say to me that will make me believe that vaccines don't cause autism. That's what they said. And this is because the American education system has failed miserably, and there's really nothing that you and I can fucking do about it. While the Center for Disease Control and Prevention did report that autism prevalence in the United States has increased from 1 in 36 children 5 years ago to 1 in 31 children in 2022, experts say this is largely due to more comprehensive screening across a broader population. Yeah, no shit. There's also more autistic people now than there were in the 1400s. Want to know why? Because they didn't know what the fuck that was. Yeah, there were 100% autistic people during the 1400s, but they didn't have the word. They called him a little doofy. That's what they said. They said, oh, he's a little doofy. They didn't have the word. They didn't have the screening, jackass. The fact that anybody has to explain this is so fucked. We may have hundreds, if not thousands, of different neurogenetic factors that, in combination with complicated environmental interactions, influence presentations of autism. Zachary Warren, a pediatric psychiatrist and autism researcher at Vanderbilt University, told NPR at the time of Kennedy's remarks. Bhattacharya, the NIH director, also has a controversial background in the medical community, questioning early on the lethality of COVID-19 and being a vocal opponent to lockdown mandates. This week, he reportedly backed away from the September deadline, telling reporters that a year is more likely. Well, dude, that's because this isn't how science works. You can't give a deadline for an experiment. You can't say, we're going to find the cure by September. Then the cure, whatever you're going to find is not going to be effective. And also, we all know what you're going to say when RFK says he's going to discover the cause of autism. We all know what it's going to be. He's going to say vaccines. He's not going to provide any evidence for it, but that's what he's going to say. I would like to have the timeline within a year where they start to put out the preliminary results or the results. We'll see. It's hard to predict how long scientists, nature has its say in how long the results take. Okay, so at least this guy fucking understands how an experiment is, or how an experiment goes, unlike RFK. And this all comes after RFK gave that fucking bonkers speech where he said, autistic kids, they can't use the toilet. Autistic children, they can't wipe their own ass. They'll never write a poem. They can't use a pencil. And what? And autistic people across the fucking nation started making videos going like, hey, buddy, I'm wiping my ass. Like, what? He even said, he said, autistic children, they'll never pay taxes. That's a lie. That's just a lie. I don't even, if you need me to prove that to you, you're an idiot. Of course autistic people pay taxes. Are you fucking stupid? You think the American government would ever give anyone a break from taxes? There's only two things guaranteed in life: death and taxes. Okay? That's it. But anyway, if you want to read the rest of this article, you can go to npr.org. You can read it yourself. We're going to move on to the next topic, which is going to be short and quick. We're going to cover it in this video. You know what? Fuck it. Looks like, and this is going to be short and quick. India closes the main border crossing with Pakistan after a Kashmir attack. If you don't know, Kashmir is this area in between India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan are constantly threatening to nuke each other. 26 people were killed by gunmen in an attack in the Indian-administered Kashmir. India announced measures targeting Pakistan. So India blames Pakistan for 26 tourists who were killed by gunmen in Kashmir. And the thing is, this is not new. India and Kashmir are constantly fucking fighting each other. Granted, this is the first time in a while that a whole bunch of tourists have been killed. The only reason I'm covering this is because these two nations have nuclear weapons and they always threaten to nuke each other. And then also new pope, maybe Filipino, depending on if they choose him. This guy's name is Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. Tagle? I don't fucking know. Archbishop of Manila. I like the guy. He's got a nice smile. Pretty cool. They've been doing pretty good with the popes recently. The popes have been pretty fucking woke, which I really like. And I guarantee you the racists are going to lose their shit over having a fucking Filipino pope, which I'll always laugh at. But anyway, that's all I got for you today. We're still live. We're going to keep the live going for a little bit, but that's all the content I've got for you this day. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing, helps me immensely. This is real independent media. I've got no funding, never had a conversation with an advertiser or a billionaire or a foreign government. So if you do want to help fund this channel, there's a couple ways you could do it. You could become a patron on Patreon for $5. Thank you to all my patrons. You could become a member on YouTube for $5. Thank you to all my members. You could buy some of this dope-ass Valenti Videos merch down below, and you could use that 40% off discount for the Vantage subscription on Ground News down below. No, that is not an ad read. That's an affiliate link. Anyway, thank you very much. Make sure to click that video on the link. If you are here in the video on screen, if you are here in the chat, the live stream, you stay. We're going to keep going. Bye. Also, because I voted for Trump, I'm brain-rotted Republican. Lol, no, I'm not. I just vote on who I think will be better. No, I truly believe you were fooled into voting for Trump. And I'll challenge you to this, Sodak, if you're willing to give me 5 minutes. Could you please tell me one Trump policy that benefits you more than the billionaire class? And this is because I believe you were fooled into it. Unless you are a billionaire and you make a fuckload of money, or unless you are, like, incredibly xenophobic and racist, I believe you were fooled. But can you please tell me one Trump policy that has already passed? And don't say no tax on tips, because he didn't go through with that. That wasn't in the Republican budget bill, and he hasn't done that. So if you could tell me one Trump policy that benefits your life more than the billionaire class, I would love to hear it. Nothing? Come on, brother. This person has been backpedaling against us for 10 minutes in chat. No tax on overtime, even though it hasn't passed yet. Okay, so I'm going to ask you again. Can you tell me one Trump policy that benefits you more than the billionaire class? No tax on tips, no tax on overtime is not a Trump policy. It has not been passed. It does not exist. It was not in the Republican budget. He said that, just like he said he would end the war in Ukraine on day one. So could you please tell me one Trump policy that benefits your life more than the billionaire class? Just one. Anything. Anything at all. Deporting children to Salvador. I'll give you one chance, Mario. Are you trolling? One chance. Are you trolling, or do you support deporting children to El Salvador? You get one chance. You're kidding? You better be. You almost got the ban hammer. Anyway, do we have anything, Sodak? Anything? One policy. One policy. Is the White House live right now? Did they start? Yep, it started. Let's see. Nope, it didn't start. No.
You don't work for 1 year.
I thought you said Sabbath.
Got it.
It's a big difference. It's almost the opposite when you think about it, right? I think what I do is, look, what I'm doing now is the most exciting job in the world. It's a hard job, not an easy job. It's a nasty job. It could be a lot easier with, I think that the news media has to straighten themselves out, because people are getting it. They're losing tremendous popularity, and
like
they've
you
lost
are
their prestige, and they've lost their credibility. And
Donnie, your approval rating is plummeting.
Media, but I think they have to straighten themselves out, because the people are going around them now. They have so many different things with, like Elon with X, which was a big a big thing, and we have Truth, which has been fantastic, and we have so many other things that you don't really need traditional.
Volume up for me or volume up for him?
I will tell you that there is just nothing I could do to enjoy my life, whether it's that or anything else that you'd ask, because this is the ultimate. I mean, I had to make a big decision, and it was a very risky decision, because if I would have lost, my life would have
How's
been
that?
a much different life. It would have been a very nasty life. They were going after me at levels that nobody's ever seen before. Not Andrew Jackson, not Abraham Lincoln. You know, the historians say that the president that was treated the worst by far by the media and overall was Andrew Jackson. In fact, his wife died of heartbreak.
Brother, Andrew Jackson
They were
fucking
treated
murdered
really rough. And
millions
Abraham
of
Lincoln
natives.
was second, but he had a civil war. You know, you can understand that.
Abraham Lincoln was
But
targeted by
nobody
half
was
his own
treated like
nation for
me.
execution.
Nobody. And I will tell you, you learn a lot about yourself. But there's nothing I'd rather do. I had to make a decision. Do I do this?
And
Because
another
if I
point,
lost, it would have been very, very bad. It was dangerous, actually, very dangerous in so many different ways. And I decided to do it. And I said, I have to win, because if I don't win, I spoke to a friend of mine the other night. He said, you know, if you lost, it would have been very, it was actually Sean Hannity just before we did the interview last night. He said, boy, if you would have lost, you would have had a tough life. You would have had a very tough life. So there was a certain amount of courage involved in this decision to run, and it's a great honor to win by this much, to win all 7 swing states, the popular vote. Popular vote doesn't get won that much by Republicans for whatever reason. I think that's changing because, again, we're the party of common sense, and they're the party of some real bad things, and I think they'll change. I think they have to change.
Deport
It
U.S.
would be
citizens,
wonderful.
right?
I'm going to be having lunch with some of the Democrats next week, and it would be wonderful if we could work together. I think working together would be great. But they have to change. You can't get elected on the programs that they want, and that's really what America wants to see. So there's nothing I'd rather do than what I'm doing right now.
When we started this conference, Mr. President, when we started this conference, Yasser and I, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince told us, I want that to be the place where people will come to understand where to invest in terms of geographies and sector. So what is the best investment you have made in your personal growth, Mr. President?
Well, I was involved in real estate from, most of my life, and was, guys like Witkoff will tell you I was really good at it.
No, you
And I was
weren't.
successful at it, very successful at it.
Dude, you were
I've
notoriously
been
dog shit at real estate. You fucking bankrupted a casino.
Involved in things prior to being president, but during the last 4 years, I followed sort of the trends, and I've made a lot of money with following some of these trends. And, it's, again, it's something that you do. I really believe that some people have instinct. I think I've always had an instinct for making money. I make money. And I went into show business. I had one of the most successful shows on television. I wrote books, and they were all bestsellers. Virtually every book was a big bestseller.
You did not write those books. You hired a fucking ghost author, dude. You didn't even hide this. The ghost author's credited in your book.
A lot of them is being in the right country. If you're in a certain
fuck.
country, our country is actually getting very bad, a very dangerous place, actually. Bad things were happening. But if you're in a certain country, you have a chance to do well. And no matter how good you are, if you were born into the wrong country, you're not going to make money. Now, you can do other things. You can attain power, I guess. Maybe it's the wrong kind of power,
I'm
but
ordering
it's power.
groceries because I'm a bougie fake
being in-
socialist, and I'm getting some fucking person to deliver my groceries.
In the right country,
Probably a
where you have the
migrant.
right incentives and, entrepreneurship, etc.
I'm a champagne socialist.
Always been sort of at the top, or one of
In
the
my
top, but
ivory
always pretty much
tower.
at the top. But it was losing that position, and I think losing it rapidly. This last administration, look, I don't want to be. I wish I could say I wouldn't have run if I thought Biden was doing a good job. If I thought they were, I wouldn't have run. Because, as I said, it was very dangerous to run in a lot of ways. In fact, my ear will show that when you look at it closely. My ear, I have that throbbing feeling every once in a while, but it was dangerous in a lot of different ways. But he was so bad that I had no choice but to do it. If I thought he was doing a great job, I wouldn't have run, and I would be very happy. I actually wanted him to do a good job. I was saying, do this, do that. I'm telling them, do things. They should have done what I said.
Evil socialist.
And but I would have been very happy not to have run, and frankly to have seen
And
somebody did
frankly-
give up, but our country was going to hell.
First, frankly, keep track.
And I really sort of had to run.
If you were a historical ruler, would you prefer to rule during war or peace?
Well, I want to be, again, a peacemaker, and I want to keep us out of war, but sometimes to do that, you have to have a very strong country, you have to have a very strong military. And as I said, we have a much stronger military than anyone would know. We have the best equipment, and I bought a lot of it. I rebuilt our military in the first 4 years.
Shut
I
your
rebuilt
slutty mouth.
We gave a lot of it away to Afghanistan, to the Taliban, stupidly, but that's a very small amount relative. It was billions and billions, but it's still a very small amount relatively to what we built. But I largely rebuilt our military. Now I'm going to have to do it again because so much has been given away, so much has been treated so badly. But to keep peace, you really have to. I have a thing: strength through, and I mean it. You really have it. You have strength, and you need the strength. But it's really
Thanks,
peace
Miro.
through strength, because without the strength, it's going to be very hard to have peace, because you're going to be taken over. Bad things are going to happen. So you really want to have peace through strength, and that's where I've done it. Having strength, having power in that sense to protect yourself and your people is a very important thing. Hopefully you don't have to use that power. I will tell you, I was dealing with President Putin very successfully on denuclearization. We were talking about it very seriously.
Based.
And then COVID came and lots of things came, and we had also talked to China about it. Now, Russia and us have the biggest nuclear by far. China is not
chat, what
close,
should I
but they
season
will
my
be
chicken
close in
with
3 or
tonight?
4 years. Or
What
5
should my
years, they'll
season
be
have for
equal.
what should my
But,
chicken have for
we
seasoning?
were going to
Because I
talk
usually
to
make like an
China, and I
Italian
spoke to
style.
President Xi about
But
it
what
very
should I season
successfully.
it
I
with
think we were
tonight?
going to denuclearize.
Anybody
it.
got
We
like
had
good
to get
suggestions?
the smaller nuclear powers, of which there are 4, 3 maybe, but 4 probably, to do something. We would have been able to do that, but I was
lemon
having
pepper
very strong
chicken.
talks with President
have
Putin
lemon pepper.
about denuclearization. And, you know, if you're president, you get presentations
He
about
keeps forgetting the question.
what we're building,
Relatable.
what we're having, the power of
Yo,
weapons.
what if we didn't know, but Trump just like
besides
smokes
weapons
fucking
per
fat
se.
blunts right
But I
before he
saw
gets
the
on stage?
power
Like, what if
of
he's stoned
nuclear
as shit?
weapons, and we can never let that happen.
Lemon
That
pepper,
happens,
buffalo.
The ball game.
No, I don't mean like a wet
will
seasoning. I mean
be-
like a dry seasoning
world
because I
will
make a
be
gravy and I cover it in a
destroyed.
gravy. But I'm
The
thinking
power is so enormous.
lemon pepper
You
may
look
be the
at
way to go tonight.
Hiroshima, you look at Nagasaki, multiply that times 500 times.
He's wrong.
And,
No. He just said, look at Nagasaki times 500. That's what we have. He's so off on that. Guys, I was at the Denuclearization Proliferation Treaty in the United Nations. I was a fucking delegate for the United Nations. The bombs we have today are 2,000 times stronger than the one we dropped on Hiroshima. And those are the bombs that you and I are privy to know of. This guy's the president. He is probably aware of some bomb that we have that is like 5,000 times stronger.
world in 3 words:
3 words.
love, respect, and strength. That's a tough question. That might be my best answer, Yasser. That reminds me of high school, that one, but that may have been the toughest question, actually. Do you think Joe Biden could have done that? I don't think so.
He's
don't
right.
think so.
He's right.
We're almost at the end, Mr. President, but talking about United States of America, what is one cultural habit in the U.S. business that the rest of the world could learn from? What is the best practice that
Well, I think we love our families, but I think a lot of the world loves their families. You know, I was speaking to the head of Mexico because I complain constantly about people pouring in. Now our border is the strongest border we've ever had. We've gone from the worst border ever in history to the strongest border. But I was
What are we
speaking to
watching?
the president of
We're watching
Mexico,
some fucking
a very
psychotic,
wonderful
madman
woman, actually.
ramble.
And I said, we were talking about drugs. You can't let people come through your country and come into the country. You know, I was not that nice, but they understood what I was saying. And she said something that really got me. She said, I said, you're not a big drug-taking nation. And she said, no, we are not a consumer. And I said, a consumer, what an interesting word. We're not a consumer nation. We're not a consumer of drugs. I said, what an interesting, and why is that? She said, well, we have very strong family values. I said, but we do too. We do too. We have very strong, our families are devastated by what's happening with fentanyl, and China will not be doing, we're going to make a deal with China. They were not letting that happen anymore. And I had a deal, by the way, before I left. I had a deal with President Xi where they were going to give the maximum penalty to anybody making fentanyl and sending it into the United States. And their maximum penalty is the death penalty, and it would have stopped. But when the election turned out to be a rigged election, but that's okay. When an election turned out to be, it was an election that shouldn't have happened. All the things that happened. I'll give you an example. We wouldn't have had October 7th, Israel attack. We wouldn't have had Ukraine and Russia fighting. We wouldn't have had inflation. We wouldn't have had all of these things that, happened. But in speaking with her, she said about family values, I said, well, you're not really saying anything there because we have great families too. We have great family values. She said, plus we advertise a lot. I said, ooh, you mean you advertise about how bad drugs are? Yes, we do. We spend a lot of money on advertising. And I said, unbelievable. That was such a great conversation because we're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars advertising how bad drugs are so that kids...
Yes, the most fentanyl is brought in by U.S. citizens. It's like 93% of fentanyl is smuggled in by U.S. citizens.
Don't use them, that they chew up your brain, they destroy your teeth, your skin, your everything. And I thanked her for that. I make so many calls and I never learn anything from anybody. I know everything and I never learn anything from anybody. And I spoke to this woman. As soon as she said it, she didn't have to say exactly what. I said, exactly, what a great idea. And I think we're going to have, and I saw pieces of it, we're going to go in with $100 million and then another $100 million initially. But I saw some of the ads and they are really violent. I said, you have to make them strong. Your skin practically comes off after a period of time. You lose your hearing. You lose your teeth. It is terrible. And we show this happening to people. And I think we're going to, we did very well with, we had blue ribbon committees headed up by the First Lady of the United States and a lot of other people that, they have no idea the viciousness of these cartels and these people. And they're smarts. They're very smart, tough people. Making a fortune, by the way, an absolute fortune. But we got it down 18%, which was a record. But 18% is not great when you think about it. I think we could get it down 50 or 55 or maybe even 60% with advertising. So she really gave me something. I was going to call her and tell her that she did, but now I don't have to call her because she's going to be seeing this right now. So to the President of Mexico, thank you very much. I appreciate it. But
this guy is so fucking stupid and annoying. Hey, is there any MAGA in the chat? Is there any fucking MAGA in the chat? Are you fucking dead ass right now, bro? You watch this shit and you're like, dude, he's so stupid. You fucking idiots. Oh, I want some bananas too. I need more bananas.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Yes. But thank you, Richard, for the introduction, and thank you to all for such a warm welcome. It's great to be back in beautiful Miami, where I've actually built a lot of great buildings with the Desert family and some others. We've had tremendous success in Miami. We have Trump Towers and Sunny Isles Beach. It's 4 beautiful buildings right on the ocean. The Trump Grande, put the little E in the end for a little, class it up a little bit. Trump Grande and the 700-acre Doral.
I'm gonna go take a fat bomb rip so I don't actually
country club, and it's actually the most successful country club in the U.S.
And I'm
where
gonna feed this cat. You
I was
guys,
just
good
given
luck.
approval
Here,
to
I'll
build
leave you with him for a little
1,500
bit.
units, and I couldn't care less about building units. When you're president,
Actually, I'm
who the
gonna
hell
keep the
wants to
camera on so I
build
don't get
units?
copyrighted.
I've been building units all my life.
Don't do anything I
don't
wouldn't
wanna
do.
build
Jack,
units,
you're
but
in
they gave us
charge.
permission to do
Jack,
it.
you're in charge.
But today is a tremendous honor to become the first American president to address the Future Investment Initiative Institute. That's the first one. That's it's always known. And I want to thank Mayor of Miami, Francis Suarez, for being here. Thank you very much, Francis, wherever you may be. Hi, Francis. And thank you for the endorsement when I ran. I was very appreciative. along with the mayor of Miami Beach, Stephen Miner. Stephen, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much. And numerous American business leaders, some of the biggest business leaders actually anywhere in the world, and many distinguished guests from the Middle East, and in particular the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, a special place with special leaders. And including FII Institute Chairman and Governor of the Public Investment Fund, which is a seriously big fund. Yasser, I see you there. Stand up, Yasser. Yeah, everyone knows Yasser. Thank you. Great guy, great person. And Finance Minister Mohammed, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you very much. Good to see you again. That's pretty good, Finance Minister of that part of the world. That's not bad. Other parts of the world, not so good, but that one is good. And many other senior government leaders. I also want to recognize the Kingdom's ambassador to the United States, Her Royal Highness Princess Rima. Ooh, very popular. Very popular. Wow, that's very nice. Sitting next to Elon. Wow, you couldn't do better than that, huh? As well as my own special envoy to the Middle East, who's really done a fantastic job, Steve Witkoff. Thank you, Steve. He's been busy. And Michael Waltz is here. Where is Michael? Michael's been so busy. They've been going back and forth and back, and a woman who is just voted the most powerful woman anywhere in the world. No, I'm going to go with Princess Rima, but she was voted the most powerful woman anywhere in the world, Susie Wiles. Thank you. Thank you. Most powerful woman. That's pretty good. We have to talk to you about that, Susie. It's pretty good. And also, we all know Jared Kushner, a very special guy. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Jared.
All right.
And Elon Musk. He's been making a little news lately, hasn't he, though? Very positive news. Stand up, Elon. He's a great guy.
Oh, the Fuhrer.
We did a little show last night. I heard they got very good ratings, too, by the way. We did. Hannity. Sean Hannity was fantastic, a fantastic man, a fantastic guy, and he did a show.
Press junkets press he's done.
It was great being on the show with you.
Yeah, probably
last
is.
Night. I come today with a simple message for business leaders from all across the nation and all around the world. If you want to build the future, push boundaries, unleash breakthroughs, transform industries, and make a fortune, because you want to make a fortune. Most of you have already made a fortune. I don't want to say that. There's no better place on earth than the current and future United States of America under a certain president named Donald J. Trump. I think that you're going to do very well. They're saying that November 5th, Election Day, 2024 will go down as one of the most important days in the history of our country. They said in 129 years, the most consequential election. I don't know if they're right about that or not, but
they're right, Donald.
Sounds good. I wanted to see if I could get a couple of more years tacked on, but I figured the fight wasn't really worth it. 129 is a lot. And as of January 20th, 2025, the dark days of high taxes, crushing regulations, rampant inflation, flagrant corruption, government weaponization. Oh, I know about weaponization. And total incompetence will be gone forever. They'll be gone forever. Because the United States is back and open for business, and the golden age of America has officially begun. You see it happening. Since my election, America's economic engines have come roaring back to life in just a very short period of time. Think of it, from November 5th, the progress that's been made has been amazing.
Hi, Viking.
The NASDAQ is up nearly 10% in just a few months.
That's not true.
And that's a lot. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 2,200 points.
That's not true.
And Bitcoin is set multiple all-time record highs because everyone knows that I'm committed to making America the crypto capital. We want to stay at the forefront of everything, and one of them is crypto. And Miami seems to be the center of the action, come to think of it. And maybe it'll stay there. business optimism skyrocketed 42 points. Think
That's
of
a
that
lie.
in a single month,
That's
the
a
most in
pure
history
lie.
by far. That's the biggest increase in history by not even close. The ISM index of manufacturing activity surged into positive territory for the first time in many years.
Another
Amazing.
lie.
And it was just announced, this is an interesting one, I didn't realize it was that bad for so long, but it was just announced by one of the nation's most historically accurate and respected pollsters, Rasmussen, that the number of Americans who believe our country is on the right track now exceeds
37%.
those who think it's heading in the wrong
That's
direction
not
for the first time
true.
in 20 years. Can you believe that? 20
No,
years.
I can't believe that because that's not fucking true.
And this is really a seismic 27-point swing from just before the election. Nobody's ever seen anything like that one, yes, sir. I want to tell you, that's a big one. The best and most successful business leaders on earth are now racing to invest in the United States. Since November, DeMac has announced plans to invest $40 billion in the U.S., creating at least 10,000 jobs. SoftBank has announced investments of between $100 and $200 billion, creating at least 100,000 American jobs. Oracle and OpenAI and SoftBank are now collectively committing $500 billion to keep the United States on the cutting edge of artificial intelligence, and so many more. I mean, so many companies that want to come to the White House and have a little news conference all the time. I said, why don't you just announce it? But they want to come, and I'll do that. I don't mind doing that. I say anytime they want to go 10 billion or more, I'm there. 10 billion or more. But on his recent visit to the White House, the Prime Minister of Japan announced he anticipates Japanese investment in the United States of well over $1 trillion, and we're working on an Alaska pipeline already, which is the closest point to Asia. And as you know, the ANWR, which we've started, Ronald Reagan couldn't get it approved. Nobody could get it approved for so many years. Couldn't get it approved. I got it approved. Actually, I got it approved twice. I got it approved, and Biden ended it. That was a shocker. But we just got it approved again. And we're going to be, it's probably the largest deposit maybe anywhere in the world, just by itself. It's, they say, of similar size to Saudi Arabia, so we hope that's correct. But all of this is only happening because of the world-changing results of the 2024 election.
Definitely
We won the
world-changing.
House, we won the Senate, the White House, and the Electoral College, and the popular vote in a landslide. We also won all 7 swing states, and all 50 states shifted in the Republican direction for the first time ever. So every state, every single state of the 50 states shifted Republican. That's never happened before. Either way, it's never happened. And 85% of counties voted for Trump. Think of that. So you have 2,600 counties versus 525. 2,600. Think of that. That's why when you look at the election map after it was all done, the certified map, the whole thing was red. 2,600 versus 500. It's a big difference. Nobody's seen anything like it, actually. So as a result
These
of
guys
this
never heard of
very
FDR.
historic victory, investors from all over the planet once again have confidence in America's future and respect for America's leaders. And it's about time we get a little respect. The last administration was the worst and most incompetent in the history of our country, but we are moving quickly to fix every single disaster Joe Biden created and make America stronger and more prosperous than ever before. Our first and most urgent mission is to remove the criminals that Biden allowed into our country with the ridiculous and very dangerous open borders policy. They came from all over the world. They came from prisons and jails.
Not
they came
true.
from mental institutions
Not
and
true.
insane asylums.
Wrong.
They were gang members. They were drug lords.
Wrong.
They came from all over, and they were allowed to come into our country. And we're getting them out in record levels, just
Yes,
like
you
they
are.
came in record levels. I
You
wanna
are the
thank
porter-in-chief.
Tom Homan and Christie, who was just she's doing a fantastic job, governor of South Dakota. And Tom Homan, you know, and They are doing a fantastic job, and the results are incredible. And every country is taking them back. They're sending their criminals to us, and they're all taking them back. We had a little problem with a couple of them that ended very quickly. And because some said, we don't really want MS-13 back in our country. But I said, congratulations, you're taking them back. And they take them back. And by the way, Europe and other places ought to start also doing that. They better start looking at immigration, because it's really hurting Europe very, very badly. And they better get smart, and they better get tough before it's too late. We're also working to end the highest inflation in our country's history, all caused because they played with our energy policy and wasted money on the Green New Scam and other things such as that. And they wasted monies at never seen before levels. If Joe Biden had simply held federal spending at the pre-pandemic levels we had in 2019, we would have virtually no inflation. We're trying to balance the budget immediately, and because of the tariff income, which is really it's already turned out to be
what income? Who's getting paid?
Amazing, actually.
Oh yeah, tariffs.
It's really meant more for bringing countries and companies into our country, but it's the numbers are rather staggering, because we're the big piggy bank that everybody wants to be, and they can play games and they can say, well, there'll be retribution and, equal this and that, but they can't be equal. But we want to keep it so that we're the big piggy bank. And if we had years like we did the last 4 years, that wouldn't have lasted too long. So we're not promising it, but, all of these things could happen. We hope to balance our budget. So I don't want to promise it, because if I do and we come about $10 short, the fake news media back there would say, we have breaking news. He did not make it. He did not make it. But we'll get it done very soon. It might not be this year, but it could be this year. Actually, we have a chance at getting it even this year, which people would be shocked at, because they were talking about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now. When I took office last month, we inherited the consequences of inflation. That was more than 4 times what it was when I left 4 years ago. Think of that. I left, it was at 1.4%. And the annual government spending over $1.5 trillion more than projected in 2020 alone. 1.5 trillion.
COVID.
But under the Trump administration, all of that is changing faster and more dramatically than anyone ever thought possible. They didn't think it was possible to do what we've done in just a very short period of time. We've accomplished more in 4 weeks than most administrations accomplish in 4 years.
You sure have.
On my first day in office, I imposed an immediate federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, and a foreign aid freeze. I signed an order creating the Department of Government Efficiency and put a man named Elon Musk in charge. Thank you, Elon, for doing it. Thank you very much. And he's doing a great job. I wish you could have seen him last night. It's really, he's a very committed person. He's a very serious person. And he's a very high IQ people. I like high IQ people. Not all have to be, but, it'd be nice to have some people up there that he's a seriously high IQ individual. Now, he's got his faults also, I will tell you that. But not too many of them, which is now really waging war on government waste, fraud, and abuse. And they're curbing inflation and saving taxpayers billions and billions
by getting rid of
dollars
Social
every
Security
single day.
and Medicaid.
There's
and
even
food stamps and the VA.
Under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the Doge savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible, Elon. So many billions of dollars, billions,
Here
hundreds
comes
of
that
billions.
Doge check.
We're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens and 20% down to pay back debt and pay down debt, which is, if you look at value, if it were a real estate balance sheet, the debt is tiny, but we still want to pay it down. Doesn't matter. We don't look at it as a piece of real estate. It's America. We're going to get it down through intelligence, hard work, and, as Elon said, a word called caring. You have to care. By doing this, Americans will tell us where there's waste. They'll be reporting it themselves. They participate in the process of saving money. So many of the men and women in this room, as an example, they pay tremendous amounts of taxes. And here are just a few examples of where your money was going before I came along. These are just some of the, just taken at random. Oh, there are much worse examples than this.
I know what
was
this
just
is
looking
because
at 'em
I
before
study
the speech, and
fascism.
I can tell you there were much worse.
Donald Trump
And there
is
are some
going
that
to
are
offer money.
Horrible, but I don't want to really.
Donald Trump is going to offer money to American citizens who report their fellow countrymen for being waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, that may mean if they are a pro-Palestinian supporter. That may mean if they are a radical leftist. That may mean if they are anti-Trump. That's what he's implying.
Sesame Street performances in Iraq. 20 million, that's a lot of money. You know, I know what it costs to do those things. You get a cast over for 50,000, give them a couple of bucks tip, and that's it, not 20 million. 20 million, that's Gone with the Wind on steroids. $101 million for 29 diversity, equity, and inclusion contracts
Everything
at the
he's
Department
about
of
to say is
Education.
a
Wow.
complete lie, by the way. It's been
And
debunked.
we've also we've canceled all of these, saved all of this money. And again, this is just a small sample. This could go on. I could read them all day. $520 million for a consultant. I want to know who is that consultant? To do ESG, that's environmental, social, and governance investments in Africa. $25 million to promote biodiversity, conservation, and illicit livelihoods by developing socially responsible behavior in Colombia. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that even means. None of this stuff, everyone's trying to figure out what the hell does it all mean? $42 million for social and behavior changes in Uganda. 40 million's a lot of newspaper ads in Uganda. $70 million for research of evidence-based solutions for development challenges. $10 million for Mozambique medical male circumcision.
What you're hearing... Sorry. Let me lower this.
What is that?
What he's
does that
talking
mean?
about is the U.S.'s soft
$2.3
power.
million for
We rule through
strengthening
hard power,
independent
which is
voices
things like
in
invading
Cambodia.
Iraq, and then we rule through soft
$14
power,
million
which is
for
providing
improving
money for like
public
HIV
procurement in
treatment in
Serbia.
parts of Africa. Both of them are forms of
$486 million
imperialism,
to the
but he's
Consortium
just
for
destroying
Elections
the
and
soft
Political
power,
Process
and then he's going to
Strengthening,
use
including
all of that money to
$22 million
increase the
for
hard power
inclusion
by
and
further
inclusive
invading and expanding and
participatory
creating the
political
greater American
process
empire he's always
in
wanted.
Moldova, and $21 million for voter turnout in India. What do we need to spend $21 million for voter turnout in India? Wow, $21 million. I guess they were trying to get somebody else elected. Wow, we ought to tell the Indian government, because when we hear that Russia spent about $2 in our country, it was a big deal, right? They took some internet ads for $2,000. This is a total breakthrough. $21 million for India elections, $29 million to strengthen the political landscape in Bangladesh, $20 million for fiscal federalism, and $19 million in addition to the $21 million for biodiversity conversion in Nepal, $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. We need voter confidence too when you read this list. $14 million for social cohesion.
How long is
in
he going to
Mali.
go?
$2.5 million for
gonna keep going.
inclusive democracies in South Africa. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well. We don't need to give them money. And in another program, $50 million plus another $50 million for condoms for Hamas. Do you know about
That's
that?
not true. He knows that's not
$100
true.
million for condoms.
Wait, he knows that's not
Condoms.
true.
Does everybody know what a condom is?
He knows this
For
isn't
Hamas,
true.
$100 million.
He admitted
And
that
these
wasn't
are
true in the
just
White
some. I
House.
could read this list all day long. I just don't
And
want to
Elon.
bore you.
Oh my
But
God.
these are just some, and not nearly as bad as others. And some are just, I just don't want to say them because they're too incendiary. We're also finding tremendous abuse, waste, and fraud in Social Security. Social Security is, what's happening there is going to be one of the great potential scandals in history. On the program, there are over 4.7 million Social Security numbers from people from 100 years old
Oh my God,
to
he's going to read through it all.
109.
Didn't he
Think of
do
that.
this already?
Now, over
Is
100,
this-
there aren't a lot of people that make it.
How is this live?
Hopefully
He
most of the
did
people
this
in room
already.
will make it, but historically, you don't have thousands and thousands of people. But listen to this, 3.6 million people are on Social Security rolls from the age of 110 years old to 119. Do you think there are really that many?
They're
Those
not
people
receiving money.
are
They're
seriously
dead.
old.
It's not real,
But it
Donald.
gets worse. 3.47 million, 3.47 million people are on Social Security from the age of 120 years old to 129 years old. 3.9 million people are on the age of Social Security from 130 years old to 139 years old. Now, the all-time record, I heard, is a woman who was 127 years old. That's the record. A woman from a certain country where they have actually people that live pretty long, actually. And she was 127 years old. That's pretty old, but we're topping her by millions of people. 3.5 million people from the age 140 to 149 years old.
This is all
1.3
lies.
million people are on Social Security
This is
from the
all
age
lies.
150 to 159. And over 130,000 people are on Social Security over the age of 160 years old, okay? Including 1,039 people, think of it, over 1,000 people between the ages of 220 to 229. And one person between the age of 240 years old to 249. And the record topper, there is one person on Social Security who's 360 years old, which is approximately 110 years older than our country.
Why are you clapping? What are you clapping for, you fucking monkeys?
So what we're trying to find out, and what we will find out, is are people being paid from all of these?
They're not. They're in the
somebody pocketing
system.
10,000 here, 10,000 there. What's going on? So we'll find that out pretty easily because we have a lot of computer geniuses. I said to Elon, who are these people that are doing this, the Doge people? I said, who are they? Where do they come from? He said, well, number one, they love our country. Number two, they're really genius at computers. So nobody's going to fool them when they go in and
genius
they
at
see some
computers.
bureaucrat that's scamming the country.
Everything's computer.
And they try and talk about, certain computer language.
Oh,
These people
computer
say, "No,
language."
It doesn't work that way. These are people that have a natural ability as brilliant computer people. It was very interesting when he told me that. I said, that's what you need today. But all of these scams have now been terminated. In addition, over the past month, we have effectively eliminated the U.S. Agency for International Development,
Yeah,
which
you
was
have. Jesus.
funding much of this lunacy. We virtually shut down the out-of-control CFPB, escorting
The CFPB.
radical left bureaucrats out of the building and locking the doors behind them.
The CFPB is the anti-scam
What they were
police.
doing was so terrible. Where they were spending the money was so terrible. What we haven't looked at yet, but will be, is does the money come back to them? Because nobody can be stupid like that. And they're not stupid. They're smart, actually. And, why are they doing that? Does money come back to them? So we'll figure that out pretty easily, I think, and quickly. But I've ended all of the so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the entire federal government and private sector, and notified every single government DEI officer that their jobs have been deleted. They're all deleted. And it's interesting, even these companies that have tremendous amounts of money, a number of them just announced, Walmart, if you can believe it, they just announced that they're stopping. And, these companies are writing off like $220 million. How can you spend that much money no matter what you're doing? If you're teaching something, you're going to have an instructor. You're going to talk. You're going to give them a book. Please read the book. And then you find they spent $225 million on that. What's going on? And we were going in the wrong way. And our military was really, although I tell you, we defeated ISIS with our military in 3 weeks. General Raisin Kane he's some general, he's a real general, not a television general. And 3 weeks ISIS, and I asked him, and I saw some of his people that were so great, the soldiers. We have the greatest military in the world, but we don't have the greatest top leadership. That's why Afghanistan was such a horrible situation and so embarrassing and so many other things. But when we want to, with proper leadership, there's nobody even close to us. We have the best equipment in the world. We make the best equipment in the world. But we have the best military. But, you know, we never fight to win. We fight to just keep it going forever.
True.
And when we fight to win, there's nobody that can even come close to us. But I was talking to General Dan Kane, we call him Raisin Kane, and I was told it would take about 4 years to defeat ISIS, and he did it in 3 weeks. I said to him, what do you think, General? How long will it take, sir? I think we should do it in less than 4 weeks. You're going to have time left over, and he did that. And we were told by the television generals it would take 4 years, so we did it. That's when I went to Iraq. I flew to Iraq, and late at night, the dark of night, all the windows closed, all the lights off in the plane in Air Force One. And we flew in, and it was pretty amazing. I'll tell you, we were landing, and there were no lights in the plane. Sir, we have to turn off all lights. I said, you mean we spend $9 trillion and we have to fly in an Air Force One with the lights off? And I went up to the pilot, said hello. And by the way, these guys are like central casting. These are the best-looking human beings. Everybody is like perfect. All of this. The most handsome people, the best-looking people you've ever seen with the flat tops and the whole thing. And I was a little concerned because the lights are off, and everything's off, and even the lights in where he was were down, very dim, very dim, with all of the lights on the fancy dashboards of the plane, of Air Force One. We're getting a new Air Force One if they can ever finish the damn thing. We're getting 2 of them, actually. But we may have to go a different route because it's taken them a long time. We're going to get military that's going to start building. We're going to get people to start building properly again in our country because they don't build properly. This was Boeing. But we're up there, and I'm looking at these people, and again, I say, they look like Tom Cruise, but better.
Why is he so
stronger,
obsessed
tougher.
with this?
And I like Tom Cruise, but these are better. And they said, are we okay, Captain? Yes, sir, we're fine. But I'm looking at it, I don't see any lights, and we're landing. And I'm used to that. I like to sit with the pilots a lot and respect the pilots greatly. And we're up there, and we have the computer. I call it the computer voice, where it goes 1,900, 800. It's feet. Your feet above.
Why is he just telling this
that means you're very
stupid
low, and I'm looking out, and
story?
my eyes
No
are pretty
one
good.
gives a fuck.
I don't see
You
any
told
lights.
us this is like
And the
Grandpa
computer goes
telling
out,
you the
sounds
story.
like
He told you a
an
million
intelligent
times.
Individual. It goes 1,000. We're 1,000 feet up. It's a 10-story building. There's a big plane. And then it goes 900, 800, 700. I said, Captain, Captain, we don't see any lights. Is everything? Yes, sir, everything's fine, sir. We'll be landing in 3 minutes. And then it goes like 600, 500. Captain, are we okay? And then he goes 400, 300, 200. And I'm saying, man, there's nothing out there. And then he goes, boom. Perfect landing right on this thing. There are no lights on the runway. There's no, I don't know how the hell they do it, but I'm sure as hell glad we had somebody that knows how to fly. But they didn't want to have any lights because they didn't want the enemy. After spending, years and trillions of dollars, we have to land with Air Force One with no lights on the runway. But they were incredible people. And then I got out of the plane, and I actually asked my people, I said, excuse me, I was very brave sitting in that cockpit.
Oh, my God.
Am I allowed to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor? And they said, I don't think so, sir. I said, well, I felt I was extremely brave. But now here's the problem with saying a story like that when you're a kid. The press will say, President Donald Trump wanted to give himself the Congressional Medal of Honor. Headlines, headlines all over, the fake news. We call it the fake news, but we're all wise to them. But it was something, and then I went down, and it was the same thing. I'm standing on the top, and I look down, and there's these handsome people. Everybody's like from a movie set.
How is this real?
Good-looking guys. I get down the stairs, and what's your name? My name is...
Enough of this.
Transportation so quick and so easy, they leave countries. You'll lose a lot of money if you do that. That would, and other countries that have done it have lost a lot of people. They lose their wealthy people. That would be bad because the wealthy people pay the tax. Okay?
So how did the talks today go in London? Do you think that the asks from Ukraine and
I think they went well. I mean, you know, we got to get two strong people, two smart people to agree. And as soon as they agree, the killing will stop. But yeah, I think they went well, pretty well.
So Mr. President, we understand that you, your economic team, many of them are here today, J.D. Vance, has negotiated what's been called a monster trade deal with India, like biggest one ever. Can you share with us what some of the framework of that might be?
You said England.
India.
India?
India.
Oh.
Muslim.
They're not very complicated, these deals. It's about the tariffs. India charges almost more than any other country in the world. And believe it or not, we do very little business with India, other than the fact that I like the Prime Minister very much. He's a friend of mine. He was here 2 weeks ago, as you know. And we stood right outside, did a news conference. Unfortunately, the grass was very wet. And it was very hard for people to stand on the grass. They got their shoes all ruined. But other than that, it was a very good news conference. And he's a great guy. But we do very little business. You know why? Because their tariffs are so high. They have among the highest tariffs, higher than China. They have among the highest tariffs in the world. And I understand they're going to reduce those tariffs. But it's really sort of their problem, not ours. We do very, very little purchasing in India because and selling. We do very little selling. I mean, Harley Davidson, I said, how are you doing in India? This is about 6 years ago. They came to lunch as a great American company. They make their motorcycles. And I said, how are you doing in India, as an example? Well,
I don't give a shit what he has to say. You guys want to make some thumbnails with me? Because we're going to make 3 thumbnails. We're going to lose frames while we do this, but we got to do it. Hi, Bean. We got to make 3 thumbnails. So the first video was about Crimea. Bean. What? You got nothing to say, don't say it. Bean. All right, episode 95.
I mean, all right. That's shit quality.
Bing. Hi. I gotta have a Zelensky here somewhere. Hi, Bean. Do I not have a Zelensky in here anywhere? Not one. Yep, I guess I don't. All right, let's get a Zelensky. Zelensky with the dual Uzi? No, I don't think you could put guns like that.
Did I spell surrender right, chat? That'll do. No, Chris, that's a slur. That's one of the thumbnails of all time. Yeah, dude, I don't even give a shit if it's a good thumbnail. I just gotta get it out because I want to make dinner. And then, what was the second one about? Trump crashing the economy. Yeah, Trump crashing the economy. Great Depression 2, Electric Boogaloo. Episode 96. No, I don't like that one.
Hmm. I can't do that, can I? Can I? No. Sorry, guys. I can't. I have bad ADHD. I can't really do this and talk to you guys at the same time. I can try. What's up? What's up, motherfuckers? Do I have to pay to ask you a direct question? No. What's up? Okay. The next one was about deporting kids. Okay. Episode 97. Yep. The 4-year-old girl and her 8-year-old sister faced immigration court. No lawyer, no parents.
Sorry. I want to share your opinion with family and coworkers, but I find it hard to really suggest you to people at times. I love the rhetoric and etc., but it's a bit harsh if you're on the other side. So I guess the question is, can you do a video themed solely on the messed up facts without screaming that they are fascist words, even though they are?
I can, but they won't listen to it. That's because they're fascists. Brother, I'm sorry. There's no reasoning with a fascist. I'm going to call them fucking monsters because they're fucking monsters. That won't be effective either way. They will not listen. They will not listen. If this is too much for them, I don't think that this is for them. I was told by my boss I literally cannot talk politics at work anymore. Yeah, because your boss is a fucking fascist. Like, reality sucks, dude. I'm sorry. Reality sucks. And the reality is, if you talk badly about the Fuhrer in front of his rat supporters, they will not allow it. And if your boss doesn't like it, you're fucked, bro. You're fucked. But listen, I've toned it down a lot over the past couple of months. If this much rhetoric is too much for them, then I'm not the person for them. I'm not a liberal. I'm a fucking radical leftist, bro. That'll do. And then that last one was about it's about the autism list. I'll worry about that one later. I'm gonna get one of these uploaded now, maybe all three. The autism list? Yeah, RFK is using hacking into your private, or he's illegally getting your private health records to make a list of all the autistic people. Yeah. Nope, not that one. Episode 95. Okay. Episode 95. Trump goes on an insane tirade because Zelensky won't surrender. Trump post. That's going in the Valenti VOD. No, there is no AI in this. Do they really think they can float people? Yeah, they can do anything, bro. They fully control every single sector of the government and the entire military. They can do literally whatever they want. There's nobody left to stop them. The Supreme Court tried to stop them. The Supreme Court can't stop them. You live in an authoritarian regime. You do not live in a democracy. Stop pretending like you're going to be able to vote this guy out of office. Okay. You make sure. And we have an abs. And we're going to cover a four. Come on, play. Click play. Chris, volume up. Sorry. You could become a patron on Patreon for $5. Huge shout out to my patrons. You could buy some of this dope ass Valenti.
Buddy is asking Zelensky to.
Yeah, okay. Publish. All right, that one's up. The next one was about Trump crashing the economy. What mixer do you use? I've got a Focusrite. Chris, are you in danger with the content you cover? Yes. If they do begin rounding up dissidents, I will probably be rounded up too. But always remember, don't let them take you to the second location. So what do we have here? The title of this one. Episode 96. What's the second location? It's El Salvador. Please be safe. Educating the people isn't worth your life. I am doing what I can to prevent my nation from descending into fascism any further than it is. Everything I do is 100% legal. I am protected by the Constitution. If I got rounded up for what I do, it means that America has officially fallen. If I got rounded up and deported for what I'm doing, it means we've lost. Yeah, the first German concentration camp was it wasn't in Germany, it was out of the country. Same exact thing here in America. Valentivod. No, there is no AI in this. Public. Text is too small and the nobody you don't understand shirts. I'll tell my manager that, see if he can fix that. All right, and then the last video is deporting children. Then I'll put that other one up tomorrow, I think.
titled, "The Trump Regime is Deporting Infants Without Due Process." Okay, get the thumbnail up. By the way, guys, I'm going to end the stream very soon. I got to make some food. I'm fucking starving. All right. All those videos are uploaded. Oh. All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. I got to eat dinner. I got to shower. I got to relax. I got to play some Oblivion. What you having for dinner? Chicken and potatoes and broccoli. Why aren't you a commie? Communism is better than socialism, in my opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. I think that democratic socialism is the only way forward for America. Even though I don't think communism is exactly a bad thing, I don't think humanity is ready for communism. I think that's about 200 years down the line, and an easier, more consumable form of it for the average Joe is democratic socialism. All right. I'm out of here, chat. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Don't forget to like,